Hey, I'm Baby Queen.
Hi, I'm Katie Beza.
Hey, this is Ram McMullen.
Hi guys, Lara here.
Hey, I'm Jim Koala.
Hi, I'm Astridas.
And you are listening to Léim Thart.
And you're listening to Léim Thart.
And you're listening to Léim Thart.
It's out now.
I really hope you enjoy it.
So enjoy.
Hey, how's it going? How's the form? How's the family? Welcome to Léim Thart. I'm Rory Egan, and this is a very exciting episode. I mean, I'm excited about all episodes, but something that doesn't happen too often on Léim Thart comparatively is a review. And today's review is that Lady Gaga is back with a brand new album, her 7th pop album, MAYHEM. Fans have been waiting for 5 years for this. Her last album, Chromatica, came out in the height of the pandemic in May 2020, and she's done so much since then. She's done more jazz, she's gone on tour, she did the song for Top Gun, she's won a bunch more Grammys, she did Joker 2, she did Harlequin, her companion album to that, and now we're back with some pop music. And I will admit, I've only had one full proper listen, so this is a very initial reaction to it as a review, and I feel like that's quite good because it's nice and raw. But part of this is that I've got my friend Dean O'Reilly on. He's sent me in some review voice notes because last time she put out an album, Chromatica, in 2020, we sat for over an hour doing an in-depth review of every single track, and we put it all out, and it was fantastic. But this time around, you know, we're grown-ups, we have full-time jobs, we didn't have time to schedule something like that and for me to do all the editing associated. But I knew that if I was going to do any sort of review, I would have to be calling on Dean. So he is on it. He has sent me some thoughts, which I'm very thankful for, and I'm going to add some as well. So it's out today, Interscope Records in the UK and Polydor in the UK as of the last time I checked. She worked mainly with Cirkut, who is a big pop producer. You can probably hear my computer keyboard in the background because this is very much in the thick of it and very initial. But he has worked on loads of tracks over the years, like Where Have You Been with Rihanna. He did some work on Brat with Charlie XCX, and he's just worked with a bunch of legends over the year. It's hard to describe it in any other way. He has other hits with Katy Perry, with Justin Timberlake. He did Jade Thirlwall's most recent single. He's done Elton John, Maroon 5. The list goes on. She also worked with Andrew Watt, who again has a roster just as good as Cirkut's. The main credit of recent years that I love is he was on Future Nostalgia. And she also worked with her fiance, Michael Polanski, who is like a tech entrepreneur. He co-founded Facebook and they're now engaged. You wouldn't associate someone like him with being a songwriter, but he's on a bunch of the songs. And she also enlisted Gesaffelstein, or I want to say Gesaffelstein. I'm not sure which is correct, but I just know him for some of his very dark, very industrial dance music. And he's on a few tracks, so let's get into it. She's kind of been a lot more private in the last few years in terms of her fame. She's not as active online as she was, and fans fully understand that she is kind of protecting her peace and all that. But they started to wonder, would she ever do a pop album again? And then she finally got to tour the album Chromatica, which again came out in 2020. She finally got to tour it in 2022. And fans have known since then that there was a Chromatica tour movie filmed and made. And they had to wait until 2022, May of last year. Sorry, did I say May 2022? May 2024, last year, for it to come out. And right at the end, there's a little snippet of a song we haven't heard. A bunch of graphics flash up on the screen saying LG7 Lady Gaga returns. This sent Twitter into an absolute firestorm because it meant she was coming back to her stomping ground. Everything that they love, which is a pop song, was coming. And the next kind of big update we got was when she was in Paris for the Olympics. She decided she was going to play a few snippets out of her car in front of her hotel just before she left. And so she did. She played a little snippet of what we now know as Abracadabra, and then she played a snippet of what we know as Perfect Celebrity. And not to brag, but absolutely to brag, when I heard that snippet of Perfect Celebrity, which you can't really hear too well, in my head I was like, that is absolutely Gesaffelstein. Definitely him, can't be anyone else. And I wouldn't even say I'm that much of an expert on him. So then when the track list came out and we saw Killa featuring Gesaffelstein, I was like, yes, you were right. And then I found out that it's actually not even that song. I assumed after that it would be Killa, but it's actually Perfect Celebrity, which he is a writer on. He's not a producer on it, but he is a writer. First taste of the album, we didn't know what was going to be on the album, was Die With A Smile with Bruno Mars. This has been massively successful for both of them. The fastest song in history to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify, and just in the last day or two, the fastest song in history to reach 2 billion streams. Now, fans were a bit divided on it because it's a bit more of a power ballad, which I don't know if a lot of how the Little Monsters feel about it, just judging by the reactions online. It has grown on me, I will admit. I wasn't too keen on it at the start, but it has grown on me since. And the first official single of the campaign was Disease. I remember I was in Lisbon at the time. It was sunny. It was late October, so it was very strange to have that kind of heat and be able to walk around in shorts and a t-shirt. I thought it was a brilliant return to form. It was dark, it was moody, it was aggressive. It's everything you want. She followed this up with a second single, Abracadabra, which was released at the start of February, right after the Grammys. And this has led, now, we haven't heard anything else since then, but she's done a bunch of promo, including a Spotify press conference where she invites fans to ask questions. She's also gone on Hot Ones, and she's done the famous lie detector test. I think it's Vanity Fair who do that. But today, we finally have the album, and according to the press release, it says that she is marking her return to pop roots. It reaffirms that Gaga is a master of reinvention, crafting an album that is as bold and eclectic as it is deeply personal. There's certainly a lot of that. It was recorded at Shangri-La Studios in Malibu, where she definitely recorded a lot of her 2016 album, Joanne, which was a bit more kind of folk Americana, adult contemporary than it would be straight up pop. So it's good to see her back there. Her last album, Chromatica, from what I understand, was done at her studio house. Overall, I'm really, really liking the album. It's not at all what I expected, and I'm kind of howling at myself because no matter how many times she said in promo that it was not a cohesive album, that it was going to dip between a lot of different sounds and genres, I still wasn't expecting it. So I want to hear what Dean had to say. Here's a bit of what he thought after listening.
Overall reaction to the album itself, I think it's a strong album. I think it's better than Chromatica, but it's not Born This Way, right? So it's got a strong theme. I like the songs. I don't know if it has the staying power that something like Born This Way has, but I think it feels far less forced than Chromatica did. So yeah, the main standouts for me from first listening that we hadn't heard of before: Vanished Into You, Garden of Eden. Really, really love that chorus in Garden of Eden. It's like so hooky. Like the demos and things that were on Twitter and circulating, I was really hoping were true or real, I guess. And I really like those. Vanish Into You is really nice. No, I really like Zombie Boy. I really like it. The melodic or sonic cohesion of the album isn't there, but I guess that's the point with Mayhem. It's far more disco than I thought it would be. I thought the entire album would sound like Disease, and probably the beginning does, and then once you get into the middle, it doesn't.
Okay. So in terms of comparing it to Chromatica, I would say that I had a stronger positive response to Chromatica than I did to Mayhem. But part of me feels like I will, at least at this stage, that I'll be listening to Mayhem for longer. Because Chromatica, I haven't gone back to it as much as I thought I would. Dean says it's no Born This Way. And I think I, along with hopefully other fans, were expecting that the whole project would be very kind of dark and avant-garde, like something Born This Way and The Fame Monster achieved, but we didn't get that. And I was also surprised that it is more like disco and funky than expected. There's a lot of like Prince to be seen in the songs, like inspiration from him, and there's also inspiration from David Bowie. Of course, I loved the likes of Disease, Abracadabra. I'm also really liking Killa with Gesaffelstein. How Bad Do You Want Me is one that I'm really enjoying as well. And I agree with Dean. I did think that Disease was more of a would be more of a marker for how the whole album would sound instead of all this variation. And again, what I said earlier, no matter how much promo I watched of her, for some reason it just didn't seem to kick into me that this was going to be mayhem, as she said. It was going to genre hop and sound hop in ways that I wasn't expecting. But I did quite like it. It's very nuanced as a body of work, and I was very taken aback in a good way by it. And that's partly why this is still a very initial thought, because it's going to take time to digest, but I think that's a good thing. You know, I don't want to act too much on impulse. Now, a note from Dean, talking a bit about how the tracks are placed and how good they are compared to each other, because he says that the ballads at the end aren't as strong as songs towards the front, and I do agree with him on this.
It is quite front heavy. The ballads near the end, it's like, don't really like The Beast. I thought The Beast would be a very different song. Blade of Grass, knowing the story behind it, I'm like, that's a nice song. But am I like scrambling to listen to again? No.
One thing I have noticed this era is that she seems so much more genuinely happy. She's always seems to put her best face and her best foot forward to make sure she delivers for her audience. But this time something feels very different. She actually seems happy and much more secure and grounded in herself presenting this music, and she feels so much stronger putting this out. You know, at the time with Chromatica, as much as I did really enjoy the album, something felt off about her. Not only just that the album is very pained and tortured because she's dealing with a lot of very dark and difficult things, but the little bits of promo she did, there was something felt off. Now again, some of the promo she did was before any pandemic, so I feel like that feeling came more from the promo after the pandemic happened. And look, we won't talk about it too much because we were all very much affected by that time. But despite the chaos that's coming on this album, it still feels a lot more grounded and secure, and she feels better putting this out, and she feels stronger. And let's hope that there's a tour, because the Chromatica Ball was amazing. Both me and Dean had the pleasure of going to the Chromatica Ball in London, and so I'd love to see her again here. And now another note from Dean.
Each time I'm listening to the album, it's growing on me more and more. I'm really excited to like listen to it in a club, the high volume, like seeing other people respond to it. I think it's that kind of album, in the same way that Chromatica was, but much less sad. And of course, the sample in How Bad Do You Want Me of Gezzer's Only You, like the first time I listened to it, immediately stood out to me. I just think that's great. And obviously she's got lots of like Prince and Bowie kind of influences and lots of the other music too, like in, oh my God, what's the song? Maybe it's Zombie Boy, Killa. I'm really enjoying this. I think it's a good album.
Now, I've only listened to it once, but I do agree with the sentiment. I do think it's going to grow on me over time, and the songs are really going to make their way into my day-to-day playlist, my day-to-day listening. And again, I can't wait to hear it out. I've managed to hear Disease out before. It bangs in a club. It goes off. So I'm really hoping to hear a few more of these. My favourites right now on the first day, outside of the already released songs, would be Perfect Celebrity, because I love how industrial it gets towards the end and how she's ruminating on her fame. How Bad Do You Want Me, I think is just very well written in terms of pop. And Shadow of a Man just has a great chorus. And I like the sentiment that she's kind of talking about how over the past kind of 2 decades that she's been here in the pop world, that she's often been the only woman in the room. And she's learned to stand her ground, and she's always had a very strong vision. And she's always seems to have stood her ground, even if she maybe doesn't know where the ground is yet. But another note from the press release says, at its core, Mayhem is about embracing the fractured pieces of oneself and discovering how they come together to form something unexpected and beautiful. The album mirrors this concept with its diverse sonic palette and thematic layers, combining elements of chaos, defiance, and vulnerability into a cohesive artistic statement. Gaga describes this process as assembling a shattered mirror. Quote, even if you can't put the pieces back together perfectly, you can create something memorable and whole in its own way. And that would be a nod to the album cover, where kind of the left half is this shattered mirror, and you can see her on the right in a black wig, black top of some sort, and you see her her reflection towards the left side, and it's kind of blurred and almost looks like it's been wiped. And it's black and white. Would I say it's a strong album cover? I would say the Chromatica album cover is stronger. But yeah, it's a lot less dance-based than Chromatica was. There's, as we mentioned earlier, there's a lot more disco and kind of funk involved on this one. And I'm really excited to see where it takes us. So thank you for listening. If you enjoy Léim Thart and you enjoyed this review, please subscribe on the platform you listen to this on and leave a nice review, and see you next time.